Hey guys, it's Megan from Made for Mermaids, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on using fold over elastic for lingerie. So you can use this on our any of our underwear patterns. This is the Greta thong that I'm going to be showing, and then also the Lana bra. So you can use fold over elastic to finish the edges of your bra or your underwear. And some people find it tricky to use, but it's really not that tricky once you know how you can apply it to your lingerie. So first let's talk about the fold over elastic. It looks like this, and there is a line right in the center of the elastic, and that is where you fold it over. So it comes in different widths. It comes in 7/8, which that's what this one is. It comes in 5/8. You can get it in 3/8. You can get it in lots of different sizes. And really, it just depends on the look that you're going for, what size that you want to use. So I have one printed here so you can see it a little bit easier and where the fold is in the center. Like that. So I'll show you on this Greta thong. I use a 7/8 inch elastic, so it's a little thicker finish, and on this pair I used a 5/8 inch, so it is a little thinner. Show you this. So you can get elastic in all different colors. The fold over elastic comes in prints, comes in different widths. You can get it in all different sizes. So you can choose to finish your Lana bra or your Greta thong with the fold over elastic. On the bra you can also use picot, which I'll do another video on attaching that. But I get the most questions about the fold over elastic. So different ways to apply it. You can apply it in one pass when you're sewing or two passes. If you're new to sewing the elastic, I recommend trying two passes first, and I'll demonstrate that in just a minute. But you would open the elastic up like this and place your fabric inside. Let me grab a piece for you. Place the raw edge inside of the elastic like this, and you would stitch it once on your machine. Then you would go and you'd fold it over and you would stitch it again a second time. So that would be a two-step way to attach the zigzag or attach the fold over elastic. You can also do it in one pass. If you're doing it in one pass and you're new, you can pre-iron and fold your elastic. Then that's what I did right here. So if you had it pre-pressed, you would just stick, again, the raw edge inside, and you want the raw edge of the fabric right up to that fold line, and then you would pin or clip the elastic in place along the edge like so, and you would zigzag in one pass, catching the back and the front at the same time. Now the fold over elastic varies from brand, from size, from where you buy it, on how stretchy it is or how tight the elastic is, just like any elastic. So when you're applying the elastic, you do want to hold it taut. You don't want to pull it really, really tight. If you pull it really tight and stretch it, then your garment is going to stretch. You're going to make it gather your fabric, which you don't want to do. You just want to have a nice, clean, pretty edge. You do want to pull it taut though. So you don't want it 1-to-1. You don't want to really stretch it, but you do want to pull it taut as you're sewing. And I'll show you when I demonstrate how much, but you can see really, I think I got this one from Joann's or maybe Hobby Lobby, the printed elastic, and it is super, super stretchy. And this one is a little bit of a nicer quality, and it's much tighter of an elastic. So that's why I don't give a measurement in the tutorial, because it really depends on, you can see I'm stretching in the same, but that one's stretching way more. Depends on your elastic quality. It depends on the fabric that you're applying the elastic to. It just makes a huge difference. But you should get a nice, even edge, just like this. And you can see it's not gathered, it's just finished really nicely. And I love using fold over elastic. So I'm going to move to my machine and show you some different ways to apply it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a couple different ways of attaching the elastic. So the first way I'm going to show you is a 2-pass, and I'm going to show you how to do it on a curved edge and on a straight edge. So for the 2-pass, you would just have your elastic like this, and you're going to lay, we'll start with the straight edge, lay your elastic down, and your raw edge is going to go on the fold, just like this. Now you can stitch this on the right side of the fabric, just like it's laying here under your machine, like this. Or if you prefer, you can flip it over and you can stitch it on the wrong side of the fabric, this way. These stitches are not going to show. These are going to be all enclosed once we fold over the elastic again and sew. So it really doesn't matter which side you sew on. You just want to make sure that the raw edge is as close to that fold line as possible. For the stitches that you can use any stretch stitch that you like. You can use a zigzag, you can use a lightning bolt stitch. My favorite stitch is the 3-step zigzag for attaching, and it's right here. I'll try to put a close-up shot of that, what it looks like, but that's my favorite stitch to use, and the reason is it still keeps the elasticity of the elastic, and it looks really nice, I think, when you're finished. Now we're going to start, so I'm going to put this under my foot, and I like to leave a little bit of extra, just the tail on the end for your machine to catch. It's a little bit easier that way. And I'm placing the raw edge of the fabric as close to the fold line as possible, and I'm going to start stitching. Now, when you're attaching the elastic, you don't want to pull it really tight like this. What that's going to do is it's going to gather your fabric. And you don't want to attach it one-to-one either, because it's not going to hug your body like you want it to. So the elastic is there to bring the curves in of the underwear, to bring the curves in of the cup, and to really hug your body. So what you're going to do is put a very slight tension on the elastic. So not super tight, not one-to-one, just a slight tension. And so what I like to do is just work in a few inches, slightly put some tension on the elastic, and then stitch. So I stop every few inches, keep going. Now this 2-pass method, you do have to sew it twice, so it takes a little bit longer, but because you can see what you're doing, it really ensures that you're catching the raw edge of the fabric and both sides of the elastic. So here's what it looks like from one pass. Let me trim this thread. Oh, sorry. Okay. So you can see my fabric isn't gathered any. and it looks really nice. Now we're gonna stitch it again. Now, if you did get off a little bit and you have some extra fabric over here past the fold line, you're going to want to trim that fabric off. I really like these duck bill embroidery scissors for trimming. They just get right in there and you can trim along. And don't worry about it too much. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. If you go over the line a little bit, just trim it so it's not super thick. Now we're going to stitch again, so for the second time, and we're going to fold the elastic over again. Now you can throw some pins or some clips in here if you want. I'll do that on a few just so you can see. Now, since we very slightly had the elastic taut the first pass, you're gonna have to do the same on the second pass. So if you just fold it over and don't stretch it at all, it's not gonna sit right. So again, you wanna put a little bit of tension on it, just the same like you did the time before, so the fabric is nice and straight and flat right here. You don't want any gathers in your fabric. So I'm going to use the same stitch. Now you can make this a little narrower and stay right on the elastic edge, or you can make it a little bit wider and go over it. There's no wrong or right for that. It's just whatever you prefer. If you hate the look of the elastic or you are trying to match it exactly, then you'll want to use a little narrower of a stitch so you're right on the edge of the fabric. Okay, so here we go. So this is the second time, again putting a little bit of tension on there. Okay, so I didn't have the clips for the first part, and you don't need them. But if it helps you, you can use clips or pins. So your elastic was already attached from doing the first pass. The second pass is just top stitching it, holding the fold in place. Like that. So on the back of this one, you'll see 2 stitching lines. And on the front, you'll see just the 1 stitching line. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to show you on a curve. So like if you were doing the cup or the panty leg line, something like that. So again, I start a little bit with a little bit of a tail. Now in the Greta pattern, I do the fold over elastic in the round. There's also a note that you can do it flat. You can do the same method in the round. So in the round means you would sew this together, press it open, and then attach it. It's a little bit more difficult that way, but when you sew your side seams, you're not gonna have an edge that's unfinished and that you kind of have to tack back, but it doesn't matter. I do show it flat in the Vicky underwear just because I like to show different methods. There's no wrong way or right way necessarily to attach it, just whatever you feel comfortable with. So again, I'm not going to stretch this super tight, but I'm going to pull it taut. I'm keeping the edge of the fabric right along the fold line, and as I'm curving, I'm just turning it as it starts to curve, so I'm not pulling or tugging ever. I'm just following the elastic. I'm sorry, not the elastic, the curve. So what I did, I was getting to a curve and it was getting off a little bit. I just lifted my foot while my needle was down so I could reposition my fabric. Now we're going to do the exact same thing where we fold it over and we're going to stitch again. So I like to have that tail so I have somewhere to start. Sometimes your machine will not like the elastic, or if you're using a little more of a delicate fabric, it can tend to kind of get eaten under your feed dogs. So if you start with a little tail, it helps. Excuse me. And then you have your curved piece with the 2-pass method. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do this, how to attach elastic in 1 pass. So you can use your elastic unfolded like this and then fold it as you're sewing, or the easier way if you're new to elastic is to pre-press your fold over elastic like this. And you can use a little starch or best press, and then you want to use a low setting or a cloth, a pressing cloth, so you don't burn the elastic. And when you do press the elastic, you don't want to pull the iron, you want to press like this so you're not stretching out the elastic. That goes with any knits really. You don't want to put your iron down and then pull it because you're going to stretch it out. So you just want to press the iron as you go on top so you don't stretch it too much. So I'm going to show you first the pre-pressed because that is a little easier. So you're going to get that fabric right along the fold and then you'll fold over and start sewing. Now you can pin this. What I like to do is work in smaller sections, so work in about 3-inch sections at a time so the fabric doesn't move, and also I can pull my elastic taut like I want, but only working in those small sections. So we'll start, and then I'm going to adjust slightly, pull my elastic taut, and then keep going. So again, this method is quicker because you only are doing it in 1 pass, but you're running the risk of not catching your fabric. So that's why I like to work in small sections. Pulling the elastic just ever so slightly. So with this, with the 1 pass method, you're only going to have 1 line of stitches on the back instead of the 2 lines with the 2 pass. So you have 1 line of stitches on the back, 1 line of stitches on the front. Now we'll do the curved edge, and on the curved edge I'm going to show you with the elastic not pre-pressed. So again, this is a little more difficult. If you're new, you would want to pre-press the elastic or do the 2 pass method. So I'm just going to start a little before I start. So again, you can see how the curve is over here. I'm not going to pull this straight. I'm going to pull my elastic to the curve and then move it over together, so I'm not stretching it out. I hope that makes sense. If you pull the fabric to the elastic, this is going to get all stretched out and you're going to have a wavy leg line or cup line, and you don't want that. You never want to pull your fabric. just the elastic. Again, I'm just working in small sections. I don't like to pin the elastic because I want to make sure that it's taut while I'm stitching it. So there's the curve, and again, you just have one line of stitches. Now, when you're doing the elastic, if this was a cup, the reason you want it taut is so this pulls to your body and hugs your curve along the curved edge and even on the straight edge. Same as if this was underwear, this would be the leg line. You want it to curve around your booty, you want it to curve around your legs and your waist, and so that's why you want to pull it a little bit taut. You don't want it one-to-one or you might get saggy cups or on your leg line. So that is how we do the fold over elastic. If you guys have any questions, please leave them below and we can try to help or ask in our Facebook group. We do have a sew along starting soon for our Lana pattern and our Greta thong. The Greta thong is super fast, so mostly the sew along will be on the bra for those who are new to lingerie sewing. I will link below the Pico elastic video that I'm about to film next for you. So if you have questions on that, I'll have a video on that. I'll see you guys later. Bye.